Welcome to Stitching Up Trouble, a podcast where a quilt retreat owner and a creative quilt designer cross paths and stitch up some trouble together. I am Mary, owner of Coosa Mountain Lodge.
And I'm Heidi Pridemore of the Whimsical Workshop. Hope you enjoy. Hey, Mary, how are you?
Hi, Heidi. I'm good. How are you?
Good. Back from your adventures?
Back from my adventures. The adventures went well, so made it home.
For about...
I got to sleep in my own bed Friday night, and now I'm up at the lodge, and I'll sleep up here 2 nights, and then I leave for Chicago.
Oh, nice. So you're leaving right from Dahlonega to Chicago. So, well, that's a very good segue into what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about the H+H show. Is it worth asking what you're working on right now? Because you haven't actually been home to be working on anything.
Well, yes, I brought my my computer along and my cross stitch. So I made a little bit of progress on that cross stitch that has been all over the world and for the last 2 years. And then I made a lot of good progress on my automations for my emails and the booking for the retreat. And I also took care of the shopping that I was supposed to do.
New stuff for the lodge?
Sheets and blankets. And then I convinced your sister Stacy to do the shopping for my dishes. And Adam and I went yesterday and ordered couches, and I found a really cool table for like the upstairs. I'm kind of setting up a table for people to work on, like if they need to like actually do work while they're there, call, type up some emails, whatever. So I found a really cool table. I can't wait.
Yeah, I can't wait to see it all. It's like Christmas. It's like, can't wait to see it all.
Yeah. Yeah. And then I met another quilter at a flea market up in North Carolina. And she is a former art school, like art class teacher. Nice. I think she just turned 80. So young. But she does like the most incredible work, and Adam bought one of her quilts. So it was cute. He's like, tell me about this quilt. And she told him the story about it. And he's like, well, you know, that kind of has special meaning for me too, because I'm familiar with, she had appliqued bee eaters, the bird. The African bird. And when we were in Namibia, Africa, like 3 years ago, we saw a bunch of bee eaters, and they were really cool to watch. So Adam, they were, and he said, well, would you part with this quilt? Would you sell it? And she said, yes, but it's really expensive. So he's like, try me.
Yeah. So, oh, geez, I should have tried Adam first.
Right? So anyway, I have the potential, maybe I'm going to reach out to her and see if she wants to teach a class here or, a workshop or something like that. So,
yeah, definitely.
So that was really, it's what I'm working on. That's what's been going on.
That's a lot. Yeah, I still don't know when Mary gets anything done, because Mary is always going somewhere.
We need to do a podcast on that. How do I get stuff done?
Yeah, really. Well, maybe we do. That would be a good one. Like, how do we shove stuff in between everything else? So I've just been prepping for the show, getting moving targets thrown at me. Like, can you get this done? Can you get that done? So a lot of, I started the week with designing a punch needle pillow for Sulky, and ended it designing a strawberry pillow for blank quilting. So, and I did a lot of computer work in between. So
nice. Yeah,
All
typical.
right.
So, speaking of H&H and this
Mhm.
scramble for you to get stuff done, what
Mhm.
is H&H?
So H&H is a wholesale trade show. Came on the scene here in America in 2021, right after COVID. Before that, the main wholesale quilt show was Quilt Market, which would be spring and fall. And spring moved around. Fall was always in Houston. This
Okay.
is where all your quilt shops go. This is where the distributors go to buy new product. So at the show is a bunch of vendors who are selling wholesale and distributor. And that's anywhere from the tools you use, the fabric we use, to just odd this and that, like new things that we haven't seen yet.
Hmm.
It used to with Quilt Inc. It was only quilting, but with H&H, we've got quilting, we've got yarn craft, we've got needle craft. So it's a huge conglomerate of a lot of soft crafts all in one place, which is really, really exciting. But they are based out of Europe, and they came over here in 2021 because Spring Quilt Market wasn't doing very well. That trade show is it's unfortunately it's kind of dying, and H&H saw a chance to move in and kind of gather all soft crafts together and see what's going on. So now it's our
Okay.
big trade show of the year. So,
Okay. Well,
so
that's exciting. I'm getting to go this year, as we've talked about a little bit. Um, so I will experience the insanity firsthand, and we'll see if we can stitch up some trouble together while we're there.
yeah, exactly. Because now
Um,
you went with me to Quilt Market. So
yes,
you've gone to other wholesale trade shows, or is that the first quilting one you went to?
that was the first quilting one I went
Okay.
to. Yeah.
So
Mhm.
when you go to H&H, it is going to be easily 4 times larger.
Okay.
The energy in the building is undescribable. You walk in there and you just feel creative energy, you feel a lot of positivity, you feel people excited about interacting across crafts. It was when I went the first time, I was kind of impressed because that was a long time since I'd gone to a trade show
Mhm.
and
Okay.
actually felt that energy. So for you, it will be very, very different from Market.
Yeah. So have you been since the first time you went? So did you go to the first one
I
in 20?
missed I didn't go in 2021. We were still barely vaccinated, and I did not go to 2021. My first one was 2022. And
Okay.
at that one, there was maybe 8 fabric companies total. Like it was still very much mostly yarn and needlecraft.
Okay.
The word has gotten out now. I'm
Okay.
last year there were more. This year, just about everybody who would have gone to Spring Market, which is no longer a show, will be at this one. So you're going to
Okay.
see all the sewing machine vendors, all the thread vendors, all the fabric vendors.
Okay.
So and that because of that, they had to create a whole nother wing to the show. So, which I know they're excited about.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, good. Because I was asking because I was wondering if the energy was um, because of people coming out of COVID that,
Mm, mm, yeah.
sometimes, I've been to like the first baseball games
Yeah.
after,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
baseball season started again. And it was, a
Mm,
very high energy, very festive.
yeah.
So I was just wondering if
If
it
that
was
was, yeah. And that
good.
may have had a part to it, but I think a big part of it is for a very long time we've been going to Quilt Market.
Right.
And Quilt Market has slowly been going downhill.
Right.
And you see a lot of the vendors sitting there like, why did I just shell out thousands of dollars? Even for a little
Right.
booth, you're talking several $1,000s to sit here when there are no buyers. Because if
Right.
there are no
Mhm.
buyers, there are no sales. If there are no sales, you just threw your money away. It is a crapshoot every time you do a trade
Yeah.
show.
Yeah.
So I think what we were picking up was the enthusiasm that people were there to buy, and
Mhm.
the people that were buying were there seeing new things they hadn't seen before. So I think it was a
Okay.
combo of the two, which makes a successful trade show.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
yeah,
Good.
but
So you touched on it a little bit. So basically, who is shopping there? Are your
you
quilt shops
hmm
going there to
you're
shop?
there's different categories. This is mainly a wholesale show for shops to go purchase their inventory for the next year.
Okay.
But you also have distributors there selling and buying. They're walking around trying to find the latest and greatest and newest, and they'll bring that product in for the shops to buy from them. Then you have this whole other layer. I consider it like the business layer. This is where all the international people will come to meet with all their clients. We're talking about like the fabric mills or anybody who is overseas that has any business here will come to the main trade show so they can hit all their clients at once. Because if you're printing fabric, you usually are printing for more than one company. And then the other layer are all the designers who are there to see who they can design for. They're looking for work, they're looking for inspiration. So there's a lot of different layers to the onion, and you just have to decide where you fit in the onion. So
right. Okay.
But,
fun. I'm excited to see all of it. It's I like getting the behind the scenes peek at who's talking to who and how things are done, and so I think just being there will be very interesting.
Well, and this is a great opportunity for you to look at cutting tables, rulers, any of the stuff you need for Kusa, because you would be buying in volume, which means you could buy wholesale. To buy wholesale, for the most part, for people listening, you have to have a business license, and that is what gets you to buy wholesale. So to get into the show, you have to have credentials that you show them and say, look, I'm a legitimate business. Because they don't, in years past, I've been doing these craft shows for 25 years. In years past, there was no credentials. And you would have like people coming off the street in there, and that kind of pulls away from the business, and then you don't know who you should be talking to. So
right.
Because you only have 4 days to get a lot done. So
right.
3 days to get it done. So but yeah, it has always been in the fall, so I'm really my whole schedule screwed up. I'm just not used to having it be in May, and it's a lot to get ready for, but then it's just all this energy for 3 days, and then you come home and crash.
Yep, that's my plan.
Yes.
So we I am coming up with my friend Shannon and my friend Dana. We've talked about Dana a little bit. And so Shannon owns the Common Thread in Dahlonega. And so she invited me to go along with her. So we're driving up. We're going to take a little detour and go through Paducah.
I wish I was going. I've never been to Paducah.
Really?
Yeah, our company showed there, but my in-laws went because I was doing something else. So the Whimsical Workshop's been to Paducah. I haven't been to Paducah.
Gotcha. Well, we missed the big show.
Yeah.
That was a couple weeks ago. But I think we'll hit the museum there and maybe Hancock's of Paducah also.
Well, say hi to Justin for me. He's one of the owners, and hopefully you will see our stuff there because they buy from us. So
I have been there in the past, and I have seen your patterns there. So I think I remember sending you a picture. All excited. I know that person.
I know. So. I never go into a quilt shop expecting my patterns in there because there's so many pattern designers and so many quilt shops. But when we do spot one in the wild, it's still a thrill after all these years. I'm like, they bought a pattern. So, but
fun. So, being a designer and doing all this prep work for several different companies, do you see any trends that are like new things that I can look for when I go?
Well, there hasn't been a lot of innovation in the quilting world right now. They are also trying to cross-pollinate, for better sense of a word, like bring in other craft into quilting. we've kind of hit a plateau in the industry as a whole. So I haven't seen anything super earth-shatteringly new. I can tell you that everybody is kind of holding their breath because 99% of what we buy, sell, use is coming from overseas. So we're, one of my clients is a Canadian company. They're like, don't know if anyone's going to buy our stuff because of tariffs. I mean,
Right.
so the tariffs are going to be the overlying topic at this trade show. Because I've even talked to people getting ready to go, and everybody's just like, I don't know what to expect because we don't know what's going to happen. So you may see more people who have things made in America pushing it forward.
Okay.
But at this point, like I was at a local shop here. It was a yarn shop. She got yarn in from London that she ordered before all of this happened, and she had to pay so much extra and file papers with the government to get them to release the yarn. So her attitude is, well, I'm probably not going to buy from overseas. So yeah. So that's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting it to not necessarily be about what's new and exciting, but who can we order from? And yeah. So, which is sad because this is a huge international show.
Yeah.
We got people coming from everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, I've gotten several emails already from people that I buy from that like, we don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, this hopefully, I mean, everybody still has to do business and we all need to. So hopefully we will still find some new and exciting things. There's a lot of people who, just like me, I mean, I'm doing it for a lot of companies, plus I'm going there to buy. So I have a dual purpose to this. But there's a lot of companies who have just put their heart and soul into the last 6 months because this is the big show. And they are going there with, it's, maybe a little jaded for me, but you see these companies and they're like full of such hopes and dreams and they're new and, they don't even know what to expect and they've given their heart to the show. So, I'm hoping people will go and support those people because they deserve it. They've worked really hard for it. So,
well, that was one of the things that I thought was really fun about going to the Houston show with you and getting to meet some of these small business owners. The woman that sold the triangle papers. They're a book of 50 different paper piecing patterns, and they all make X4 triangles. She was the sweetest thing, and it was so interesting talking to her.
She's passionate about it. That was her. She put a lot of time, money, and effort into that, and she was unveiling it. And like, if you followed her on email afterwards, each success was such a huge thing. And
so that's the kind of thing I'm looking forward to seeing is seeing the new designers or the new products out there that somebody's developed. There's we met a couple of ladies, I believe they were from Australia. And they had some really very cool hand embroidery things at Quilt Market. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing more of that. I know Shannon, the owner at the Common Thread, is, looking for the new thing to carry, and it's not just quilting; it's the hand embroidery, or she's got some interest in some of the punch needle kits now that she has there, and things like that. So she is looking for those opportunities to, like you say, cross-pollinate, combine quilting with other crafts. So so I'm interested in seeing that kind of thing. And the tariff situation is going to, make it all a little bit interesting, but
well, and I can say you will see, I just actually taught my first punch needle class here. I taught it for you guys, but taught it here yesterday. And it was so much excitement. Like everybody, punch needle, and everybody's very excited. So you're going to see that. And Riley Blake, I think it was Riley Blake. Riley Blake came out with punch needle because they have Lori Holt, who does her own yarn and her own tool. And so they kind of unveiled that at Quilt Market. They were the first at Quilt Market. So you are going to see it everywhere because the industry is very much a copycat industry.
Oh yeah.
If one person has something and they think it might have a bite, everyone's going to jump into that pool. So you're going to see a lot of
it. I have a Kimberbell one that I did.
Oh, Kimberbell. Thank you. That's who was showing it. Riley Blake does also have it, but Kimberbell had the big board there at Market.
I don't know if you can see.
Oh, very cute.
That's the picture of, and it was really nice because it included everything.
Mm-hmm.
The canvas was already stretched. It like the cute little buttons to add to it and whatever. And I did it in like an afternoon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and that's what our class was yesterday. It was our first boxed set with all the yarn. The canvas was stretched and drawn. Everything was ready for them, and they had a great time doing it. And I think that you're going to see a lot more of that too. I think people are looking at more sit down in an afternoon craft. Quilting is a very long, drawn out craft. What do you do with them in between? And so you're going to see that kind of coming across, whether it's punch needle embroidery, crochet. There's going to be some interesting, I think we're going to start seeing some really interesting things. I'm hoping at this show, but in general.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
Yeah.
So this is going to be my first show.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of things do I need to do to prepare? What do I need to bring? Okay.
I'm going to give you the advice that my mentor gave me when I was like a 20-something-year-old going to my first trade show. So this is in general. Okay. Then we can talk about the show. In general, shoes do not count as fashion at trade shows. You could be wearing a ball gown with sneakers. So make sure you are walking on concrete for 8+ hours and you don't even realize how much you're walking. You really don't even think about it. So bring that. Eat protein for breakfast. Eat eggs, eat a big breakfast because you can never be sure that you're going to eat again until like 6:30 or 7 o'clock at night. So those were her big tips. And then make sure you're bringing a bag. If you have trouble with your shoulders, make sure it's a backpack. Otherwise, a bag on your shoulder, or I think you're allowed a small rolling bag. Bring a bag because there's nothing worse than being stuck with the free bags, which they do give away some cute ones, but then the straps will dig into your shoulders. So I always make sure I bring my own bag because you will buy things or pick things up along the way, and it makes it a lot easier. Now, you're staying with us, and our hotel is directly across from the convention center, which makes things lovely. But the other spot,
bag to have to bring? You're going to make me a bag to bring?
No. And I have adorable bags that I have made, but I am bringing it's a Della Q bag. If you're watching, it's very lightweight, but I love the fact that it's translucent, so I can find my crap at the bottom of the bag.
Gotcha.
And bring business cards. Bring business cards and literature. If you're going to hand out retreat literature, bring your business cards and literature. And don't rely on any technical stuff. Your phone. I mean, make sure you have a notepad and pen because you can get into spots in these big conventions where there's very little Wi-Fi. So those would be like, she wouldn't tell you the tech part, but she would have told you the shoes, the protein, the bag. So perfect. Now for H+H, you need to make a plan, when you get there. I usually will walk the show if I can, depending on how big it is. I walk the show one time around and mark off what I want to see. And then the next day or two, I go in order of the rows. So I'll the first day, mark everything. The second day, I'll be like, okay, in row 1, I want to see A, B, and C. Row 2, I want to see D and D. And I make a plan. Do not meander. You won't remember what you saw.
Right.
It becomes very overwhelming. And I don't tend to buy the first day. If you are buying things, I don't tend to buy until I've gotten through everything and I've gone back to my room and I've looked through my literature, because if I can't remember it, it wasn't that important.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Because if it's something you really want, you're not going to forget it. You're going to remember it. You may not remember where you saw it, but you will not thing. And the other thing is to know that this is not your one and done. This is not your only opportunity to purchase this stuff. Everybody sells this stuff year round. This is just your first chance to see it.
That's a very good point. So I don't have
Mm-hmm.
to be frantic about, I need to
Mm-mm.
get this or that.
You
Okay,
need to
that's
get
good
their
to know.
business card. That's what you need.
Gotcha.
So,
Okay.
but yeah, so that's what you would need to get there.
Okay.
You know, it's um, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
All right. All
So,
right.
and you will get
Um,
distracted by all the beautiful things in booths. So take as many pictures as always
okay.
ask, but if you can, take pictures.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah.
So is there a list of vendors that's available, or is that something
Mhm.
that we get when we're there?
You can go on the H+H Americas website, and the list of vendors who are showing this week are on there. So you can go through and kind of get an idea of who's who and where do you want to see. The other thing is don't anticipate, like when the shows are slower, you can walk in and talk to whoever.
Right.
But it's really handy. Is your card have your cell phone number on it?
Hmm.
Yeah, it's really handy to be able to say, I'd like to meet with so and so. Here's my cell number. Have them call me on the floor, and I will come back. As the shows get busier and busier, it's harder to meet with people and
Okay.
connect. So, and talk to anybody you sit and have lunch with, because you never know who you're sitting and having lunch with.
Oh, that's very true. That's very true.
Yeah.
Have you looked at the list of vendors yet?
I have not, because for me, I'm going to talk. I'm going to look, but mostly I'm going to talk with clients and talk to clients, and I already know. I know who's going because they've
Right.
already talked to me.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I used to always make appointments. I'd
Mhm.
get there and have the entire 2 days booked out, and I don't do that anymore because I realized I was missing the show. And though it is important to talk to certain people, I can also call them on the phone or email them. It's more important that I actually experience what's going on at the show. So now I just go through, hey, do you need to talk to me? Do we need to set up an appointment? That kind of thing. So,
Gotcha.
but it should be
Very
a good
cool.
show. Um,
So, um, so if I'm going, I am looking at potentially kind of stocking a closet with some
mhm,
notions that most people might forget or whatever, to just have things handy
mhm,
there. Um,
mhm.
so if I see something that I like, do most vendors do like a cash and carry kind of a thing, or is it mostly order, or is it kind of a mix? Depends on.
It used to be half and half. You used to be able to do a lot more cash and carry. Part of that stopped because Quilts Inc. put a rule out that you couldn't do it. H&H does not have that rule, so it may start coming back again.
Okay.
Um, you'll see more cash and carry the last day because people are packing up and don't want to take the inventory home. The first day, no one's going to sell you anything because they need it for the booth. They brought it to visualize. But yeah, there'll be some, especially because this is a yarn and thread and fiber show. You're going to get a lot
Okay.
of independent people in there that are small business. They're bringing it in and they do not want to take it home. So you will
Right.
definitely, if you were looking for yarn, there's going to be a lot more you can cash and carry.
Okay.
If you're looking for notions and tools,
Hmm.
it's going to be less likely. You're more likely going to need to make an order. So,
Okay.
which I always find is just fine because I don't really want to schlep it all home. I only have so much suitcase space. I don't have a whole car, though I do know someone with one.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I'm usually under the can I get this in my suitcase? And then I also will get samples. I will get stuff from my clients. They will be, some
Okay.
years I come home and I have, 10, 15 fat quarter bundles I had to shove in
Right.
my suitcase. So, um, my experience is a little bit different, but
Mhm.
I am sure, even though I say every time I'm not buying anything here, I don't need to buy anything. I will buy something. I am
We
sure.
always find something.
Yeah.
That is how we get in trouble.
Yes.
We always find something.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and I mean, I've been working on my list of trying to like focus and say these are all the things I need to look for and buy. I mean, obviously we're doing more and more with the punch needle kits, so I actually need a yarn vendor.
Okay.
And knitting and yarn, they don't like to sell the websites. They only want brick and mortar. It is so hard to find
Interesting.
a vet. You know, like we have checker distributors. We have other people that will
Yeah,
sell. They will sell you. You are a store. I am a store, but they
right.
won't sell it to you. Like knitting needles, you can't get. A lot of people won't let you do wholesale knitting needles unless you're a brick and mortar.
That's really weird. I
It
wonder
is,
if any of those policies are going to change with
yeah, I
the
don't know.
loss of like Joanne's, if
Yeah, yeah,
things are
I
going
would
to be
hope
different.
so.
Yeah.
Della Q, I absolutely love her bags. I carry them around. I can't tell you how many times I've sold them 10 times over. I have to send them to the yarn shop. I can't carry Della Q. They won't sell to an online store. So
Uh,
it gets frustrating,
yeah.
especially when you've had a website for 25 years. It's like we are established. If you don't want to sell to brick and mortar, at least say we won't sell to brick and mortars that are 3 years old. You need to be
Right.
established. But
Right.
those were the rules the last time we were there, which was a year ago. So, but yeah, so I'm looking for that. I'm looking for projects to teach at Kusa retreats.
Good.
Yeah,
Good. It would
I
be
have,
terrible to run out of projects to do.
oh, I know. Heaven forbid. I don't think I'll ever run out, but you know,
No, I don't think so either.
so.
Um, all right. Do you have any last tips? Um, so if I'm going to go and buy, I need my business license, copy
Need a
of that.
picture of it. If you don't
Okay.
want to carry the hard copy, I always have it in my
You have a
photos marked
picture.
as a favorite. Yeah, they're going to
Okay.
want your license number. But you know what? In all honesty, if you're in the show and you're buying and you don't have it, they'll just say, just call us with the number, email the number.
Right.
They're
Yeah.
very, very, once you're in the show, writing an order is really easy,
Okay.
you know, and a lot of them will take credit card up front, you know, especially if you're going to have a supply closet, you're going to need to find a distributor, open an account with them.
Mhm.
But whenever possible, buy from a small business, because when I sell to the distributor, they get a 30% cut
Right.
of my sale. When you
Right.
buy from me, I don't have to give that cut. So it's always nicer to,
Yep.
you know,
Absolutely.
I know it's easier for me to order from Checker, but I will try to always call and
Yeah.
order from everybody. But so yeah,
Yeah.
no, it'll be fun. It'll be exciting. We are going to try to do a podcast from there.
Yep.
Hopefully, yeah. I don't see why we couldn't do it, but I don't know. We may also just be tired and beg everyone's forgiveness if we don't.
Yeah. Well, if we don't do it from there, we will definitely record a recap
Right after.
when we get back home. So
Yeah. Yeah. That'll be good. So,
absolutely.
well,
Yeah.
did I answer all your questions about H&H? Are you feeling ready?
I think so. No, I'm
Yeah.
not ready at all, but I'm excited for it. It's going to be an adventure.
Yeah.
So,
And just
um,
remember, you can dress casual. You can be comfortable.
yeah.
I have
And
to I have to go figure out what the heck I'm packing still. That's my biggest nightmare every trade show. What clothes am I going to wear to the trade show? So,
yeah. Yeah.
but
Well, I got 3 new colors of Coosa Mountain t-shirts in, so
ooh.
see what I wear during the show. Um, so we'll see.
All right. Sounds good.
All
Okay.
right.
I will
Thank
see
you. I'm
you.
going to see you in Chicago in a couple of days.
Yes. Yes. It will
All
be
right.
very fun.
Yeah.
Okay. We will see you in
Drive
the
safe.
next one.
All
Okay.
right.
I'm not
All
driving.
right.
I'm
Well, you still have to travel safe. Nope. Travel safe. All right. Bye, everyone.